Coach Steve Lochte here tonight with us. He is the Daytona Beach Swim Club coach. He's coached the national U.S. swim team and coached the Olympic swim team, and of course raised an Olympic gold medal, world record-setting Olympic swimmer. So without further ado, Coach Lochte.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for everyone for inviting me. Hopefully tonight I can give you some of my viewpoints and my opinions. And regarding my speech, it's my opinion and it's the way I've kind of gone through life a little bit. I was born and raised in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes on Canandaigua Lake, and went to a school that my graduating class had about 60 people out in the farm country. We had no swimming pool, but I became a swimmer because of my father. A lot of characteristics that I bring to coaching came from my father. And I come from old school, okay? And today I'm going to hopefully give you some characteristics that I believe in that you could transfer to your businesses. Because if you sit back and the way I do, and I look at this country, we're in trouble. And we're in trouble with our young. We're in trouble with our children. And we need to kind of reevaluate our whole educational system, I think. We need to reevaluate how we're bringing our children up. I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Yeah, we have Ryan. That's one of my children. Ryan is, hopefully, none of you watched the show because it was a disaster. We sold that concept to Ryan Seacrest production, and it was supposed to be called The Road to Rio. And we talk about the emotional, physical, psychological development of raising an Olympic champion, the world's greatest swimmer right now. And that got sold to E! Entertainment. Well, it went right out the old chute because E! Entertainment, as we all know, is a tabloid. And when U.S. Swimming and myself and Greg Troy out of the University of Florida said, you know, can we see the final editing? And they said, no, we all wrote DNS, do not show us. We don't want to be part of it. So it kind of backfired as far as what we wanted to do, and that to raise the level of the sport of swimming to the United States. But I'm going to talk a little bit about how to get one of these. If you haven't noticed, this is the real gold medal. This was hung around Ryan's neck in Beijing, China in 2008. It's a gold medal in 200-meter backstroke with a world record performance. The reason why I bring this is because I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we raised Ryan and how I raised my athletes, is that the sky's the limit. And you can be good. You can be good business people. But to be great in my profession, you win a gold medal and break the world's record on the same day. And nothing else is accepted. So Ryan had a lot of great swims prior to Beijing. He won a gold medal on a relay in Athens and a silver medal in Athens. And he won a lot of Pan Am games. A lot of great things happened before Beijing, but he never won an individual event and broke the world's record on the same day. So I never called him great until that day. On that day, I did say, "You're great." And I get choked up about that because I can remember it, strong feelings. But with anything, your business, sports, athletes, I've had the pleasure of coaching 36 athletes that have been top 10 in the world. I've coached thousands of athletes, thousands of them, and probably the way I coach and the way my program is set up as your business is, I operate under 4 areas of growth. Number one, you all have to have goals. You have to have a vision. You have to, as a business owner, or as an athlete, or as a coach, you have to have a vision. You have to understand what you want. Goals are so important. You know, and those are like goals for Ryan. In 1992, we were sitting on the couch watching Pablo Morales win the gold medal in Barcelona. And he looked at me and he says, "I want to do that one day, Dad." And he was only 8. And I said, "Okay, not a problem. What are you going to do about it?" Not my problem, it's his problem. Ownership. So vision, you have to have a goal. In your business, you have to have a plan. You have to sit it down and look at it, study it. Now you step back, and now you've got to have commitment. Are you willing? Is your office, is your employees, is your people surrounding you committed to that vision, to that goal? And remember, goals are to be achieved. And in order to achieve your major goal, you got to have minor goals. Every day, I walk on the pool deck. I'm there at 5 o'clock. My athletes walk out of that locker room door. They're told that every day they come out of that locker room, they better have a goal. A little goal. Hopefully, I'm hoping, all those athletes have a goal to be an Olympic gold medalist, a world record holder, the highest you can be. But every day when they walk out, they have to have a little goal to make themselves a faster swimmer, to make themselves better than what they were the day before. And then I say, what's your goal to be a better person? Because if you're a good person, if you're a positive person, if you're motivating, if you're helpful, all that's going to come back to you tenfold, because positive reinforcement generates positive results. So when they come out of that locker room, you better have a goal, whether it's tightening up off the streamline, off the turn, whether it's kicking harder, whether it's not breathing as much, whether instead of going third in your lane, you better be swimming and leading the lane. What's your little goal to do to improve yourself as an employee, as an athlete, as an owner, as a manager? What are you going to do every day when you wake up that's going to make you better as a worker or an athlete and as a person? Commitment. Commitment to your vision. Then we get to dedication. Do you have the dedication to stick it out? You might have the vision, you've got the commitment, this is what I really want to do. Do you really have the dedication to put forth of reaching your goals? Because it's going to take a lot of hard work. There's nothing in life that means something to you, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you haven't worked hard for it. The harder you have worked, the more it means. I'm old school. I was born and raised on a farm. My dad was vice president of Kodak. Now, forget Kodak, because that's no longer around. But we had a farm. And I had a lot of opportunities. But I also knew that before I went to school, I had chores. Man, I didn't want to come home from school if I didn't do those chores when my dad got home. Dedication is a strong word. I gave a commencement speech to a high school graduating group, and I'm used this same wording and these same topics because I didn't know what to tell these high schoolers. So I thought I'd give them words, strength that will build character. It's about character. Dedication is a very important ingredient. In my opinion, the next word that I'm going to use is probably something that we all need to work on. It's something that parenting has failed lately. It's perseverance. Perseverance. You've got to have the perseverance to keep going towards your goal, your vision, your plan. Why? Because life is hard. And if you try to make it easy, you're going to fail. I call failure success. I call watching a swimmer lose a success to his vision. Why? Because he's got to have the perseverance to get back up and go for his vision, and that's going to make him even stronger. Today, I tell you, our parents, and I'm not saying anything, I'm not picking anybody out, we make life so darn easy for our kids. We pave the way. We don't want the ruffled road. The kid falls down, we're right there to pick him up. And sometimes we don't even allow the child to fall. Whether it's in academics, whether it's in sports, whether it's in relationships. That's our problem. Kids don't know how to fail and get back up and become stronger and become a champion. Because we've done it for them. I got in trouble in high school. I didn't want to go home. Nowadays, kids are going home and parents are right there at the principal saying, not my child. My child's perfect. And if you really believe that, any of you, look at yourself in the mirror. Nobody's perfect. There's no one perfect. We all have made mistakes. We've all failed. And without those mistakes and without those failures, guess what? Who are we building? We're building a false person. So when they get out of school and they're in everyday life, and life is hard, life is not fair, is it? I haven't found it is. And if anybody has, let me know. I'd like to live yours. Life is not fair and it's hard. Those people don't know how to handle it. Life is competition. The working class, the working world, there's competitiveness out there. And the individual that knows how to fall down and fight his way back to the top is going to be successful. That's what we need to teach. Those 4 words, I kind of group it. Vision, commitment, dedication, perseverance. Now, sometimes people say I'm a little harsh. I am harsh. Tough love is good love. And that's what I give all my athletes, because each and every one of them I do love. The more I yell at you, the more I care about you. You know, how did Ryan get to that? I was able to tell him he's great. It made me proud as his father and as his coach. I always have a carrot dangling in front of him. And after that, when we got back from Beijing, I said, well, that's 2 Olympics. You're a world record holder. You're a gold medalist a couple times over. You're 24. How about London? Let's do something. Let's keep going. Are you having fun? Yeah? Well, then why do you want to stop? Yeah, why not? He's 28, going to be 29. 2 weeks we'll be in the trials. The end of July we'll be in Barcelona for the World Championships. It's about having fun. So when you develop this vision for your company or your group, and you've got a commitment from your group, and you've got people that are dedicated that might want to come in 20 minutes early and do a little extra because they have their own personal goal as an employee to become a better employee, to make your program better, to make your business better, and stay 30 minutes or an hour later to finish something, to make it happen. They got that dedication. That carrot is out there. And when they reach that vision, they reach that goal, there's new goals beyond that. Ryan's got new goals. It's called Rio de Janeiro, 2016. Swimming at the age of 32 at the time, which is unheard of. But he's having fun doing it. We have never taken that fun away. When he was growing up, you see this gray hair? It came mostly from Ryan Lochte. In all honesty, I mean, out of a 6-day practice schedule, I threw Ryan out of practice. You're out. Get out of here. Go take a shower. Probably 4 out of the 6. Because he wanted to. Because he'd go in the shower, he'd put towels on the drains in the shower room, in the locker room, turn on all the showers. Next thing I know, water's coming out of the locker room door. I mean, he's got 4 inches of water, and he's running from one end of the locker room, sliding on his butt, to the other end, bouncing off the walls, having a ball. He's having fun. Well, I went through a lot of swimsuits. I'm glad I'm sponsored by Speedo. Because they don't make those materials real thick. That was when he was about 8, 9, and 10, 11. We moved here from New York when he was 11. We went to the Junior Olympics meet. Now, Ryan was pretty talented. I have to admit, he was kind of a natural. Dad's a swim coach. He learned how to walk on a pool deck. Fell in when he was 3 and with a snowsuit and stayed in water. Loved it. Went to the Olympic trials, went to the big meets with Dad, met all the Olympians. So it was his atmosphere, his level of thought process. And that's, again, when you make a vision, it's all a state of mind. Don't think small, think big. The bigger you think, the more you'll reach. The sky's the limit, ladies and gentlemen. So we went and came to Florida, and he was really top 3, top 4 in most of his races, just having fun, not really training. The longer events, he would get killed because he never really trained. So we went to the University of Florida where the Junior Olympics were held when he was 13 years old. And in swimming, they categorized athletes by ages, and this age group was 13 and 14. Well, he had a friend from Trinity Prep that he acquired over the last couple of years, Brent, and they would go after it, and we had them all ready, and it was the big championship meet, and there were probably 800 swimmers there, and you know, microphones, everything, cameras, and he didn't win. He didn't win High Point. He was runner-up. Brent beat him. Brent shouldn't have because Ryan was the better athlete. So 2-hour drive on State Road 40, you know what I mean, you've been there. I'm driving back and Ryan is as quiet as a mouse, and that's not like Ryan. And I looked down at him and I said, "What's the matter, son?" And he looked up at me and he goes, "I got beat." I'm driving. Now I'm his coach and I'm his father. It's time to put the father hat on. I just turned to him and I said, "So what are you gonna do about it?" He looked at me and he was like, "Well, what do you think I should do about it?" I said, "Son, I'm your dad. What are you going to do about it? You're the athlete." He looked out the window for about a few minutes, turned and looked at me, he said, "I'm never going to let it happen again." From that point on, when we got back in the water to start training, he was no longer kicked out of the pool 3 to 4 days out of the week, 1 day out of the week. He always had to have that one. From that point on, he went on to make senior nationals. He went on to make the Pan Am Games. He went on, and that's history. And he didn't. He had a vision. He had a goal. But my job, not so much as his coach, but as his dad, was put the ownership on him. I wanted the ownership on himself. I wanted his vision to be his, not mine. I wanted his dedication to be his, not mine. I wanted his commitment to be his, not mine. And he had perseverance that day. He fell. What are you going to do about it, son? And, you know, people probably sit back, well, you know, you're a coach, and, you know, you probably gave him private attention and special treatment. Not at all. I don't know about you, but when you go home to your families, do you talk about your work? Do you like to bring that home and eat, breathe, sleep your work? I don't know about you. When I go home, I don't want to think about work. I got my private time. We walked out of that gate every day, or out of the door in New York and out of the gate down here. We never spoke about swimming. We might have gotten in the car, and first mile down the road was, how'd you like workout? It stunk, Dad. It hurt. Or, you know, why'd you get thrown out again today, son? You know? Because you asked me to leave. Well, yeah. Why do you think that? Because you were screwing around, you were bothering my other athletes. But we never talked about swimming. You know, it was interesting. NBC came to me. They said, Coach, can we get some of your video clips of your son when he was younger? You know, at swim meets? Sorry, NBC. Don't have any. Never videotaped them. Oh, I videotaped his underwater strokes and corrected his strokes at the pool, but never had anything at his swim meets or anything. Like some parents will videotape that soccer game, come home and analyze it over the lunch table, and watch it on TV and play it in their living room, and you got to do this, you got to do that. You know why? Because it's the parents' vision, not theirs. We never spoke about swimming. I did really an injustice to Ryan when he was growing up as an athlete, because I probably did less coaching because I didn't want any of the other parents or other swimmers felt like I was giving him treatment, better treatment, because he was my son. And maybe that helped also. I don't know. But I do know that you've got to have ownership. So when you take these words and you take this back to your company, you've got to have ownership. It's up to you. Don't pass the buck. And that's one thing that I always have taught my athletes. It's their ownership. I'm here as your coach, as your mentor, in partnership. I am a dictator. I scream and yell, and you know, it's going to be my way. But I'm in partnership with you as an athlete. And that's the way I operate. And I think it's worked pretty good. I mean, 2012, we had more swimmers at Olympic trials than any other swim club in the country per capita. And those stats came out of United States Swimming. So I think we're doing something right. What I feel is that I'm making a difference in all the athletes, because I'm giving them seeds of life. Seeds that they can take and transfer to everyday living. Seeds that they can become businesswomen, businessmen. They can become teachers, schools. They can become good fathers or mothers. I'm giving them seeds. So you know, somebody asked me, well, when are you going to retire? I'm not going to retire. I have too much fun working, doing what I'm doing. I'm giving these people, hopefully, seeds that will change them for the better. When I stop doing that, that's when I'll retire. So, what I'm trying to get across to all of you here in the world of business is that, number one, you got to have a plan. You got to have that vision. But it's up to you and your employees to make that vision work through the other three sources of dedication, commitment, and perseverance. And you got to go the extra mile. And you don't think small. I constantly dangle a carrot in front of everyone. Whether they're fast or they're slow, it doesn't matter. The sky is the limit. And being a champion is strictly a state of mind. It's strictly a state of mind. Having your business successful and prosperous is a state of mind. It's a culture. If you think it, if you live it, and your attitudes towards it, you're going to rise to it. It's a state of mind. Success is a state of mind. But you have to go through some failures to be successful. Parenting, all I can say is I learned it all from my mom and dad. And being a good parent is loving your children. And that's all you can really do, is love them. And give them seeds. Seeds for life, because they are humans. They grow differently. They mature differently at different levels. I was talking to Josh earlier about our educational system. Introduced in 1920 during the Industrial Revolution. 5 years old, you go into kindergarten. 17-year-old, you get spit out. Right through an assembly line. Well, who says that every 17-year-old is ready to graduate? Who says every 5-year-old is ready to go into a structured program? And who says that everyone has to learn science and math? Where's the creativeness? We have to look at our people as individuals, but we also have to give them seeds for life. My seeds for life in the athletic world I just spoke about. So hopefully, you can take some of those ideas, and those are my opinions, back to your company, back to your business, and maybe you can work at it. Again, I'd like to say thank you for having me. I hope I didn't bore you. I could give you a lot of good stories about Ryan, okay? Great stories. A lot of gray hair stories that are kind of funny. And if you have any questions or I'll answer them if you have questions. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I swam for the University of Miami. Go Hurricanes! All right. I was an All-American at the University of Miami back in the heydays of '70 to '74. My mentor and my best friend was my dad. My dad helped coach me. Then I was coached by a professional coach, Mr. Roach, and but I have to say, the character of making my body hurt in the water on a daily basis to the point where I became numb came from my father. He was the type of man, self-made man, and pretty much taught me everything in life. He was my best man, and probably a very Christian man. Never went to church, not one bit, but was the most Christian person I've ever known. Yes?
What's the best thing you ever learned from Ryan?
The best thing I've ever learned from Ryan? The best thing I've ever learned from my son, and I learn every day from an athlete or athletes, is that when the race is over, it's over. Move on. And to have fun. I had another athlete, Rick Ehrenberg. He was third in the world in 1988 in the 800 free, and Ricky and I were at the Nationals, and he was predicted to win the 200 meter free. Well, he swam it, and he ended up fifth, and swam it totally wrong, in my opinion. So after the race, he comes up to me, and I said, "What the were you doing?" And he just blew up. Get away from me. We didn't talk for the rest of the meet. I threw him off the team the next day when we got back to home pool. Waited a week. I finally realized at that point that it wasn't about me, because I was going to have a national champion as a coach. I was a young coach. You know, it's not about me coaching. It's about him. That's when I learned to become a partner in someone's career. That was a big lesson. And after that, my coaching career really took off. But with Ryan, he taught me that he had the dedication, he had the commitment, he had the perseverance, and when the race is over with, I have to understand that that person wanted it just as bad as I did, but the race is over with, it's over with. It's time to move on. One thing that he's always said, and he's told me, once the Olympics are over with, or a championship is over with, he goes back and he's right at the #1 swimmer in the world, isn't he? He doesn't believe that. He believes he's at the bottom of the barrel and he has to fight himself right back up. He achieved his goals, some of them, not all of them. Just like in business, if you achieve a short-term goal, put yourself right on the bottom again. Put yourself below your competitors, and that will make you work harder to rise again. And that's one thing he did say. He lives by 3 laws, which we were doing a clinic for a couple hundred people down in Lauderdale, and it's something that I've never heard from him, but you know, I was like, wow. He said, #1 rule to all these kids, listen to your coach. They know what they're doing, they're there for you. He said, #2, have a goal every day that's going to make you better. And that's something that came from me. And he said, the most important rule is to have fun doing it. And if you think about it, if you're having fun developing your business, developing a plan, developing your vision, people around you, it's infectious. People around you are going to have fun. People around you are going to be motivated. And there's so much positiveness going on that your goals and objectives will be met. We'll meet it. Because everybody's on a high. So attitude is very important. Any other questions? I've bored you enough, huh? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Next one, do you see anybody else getting Ryan's shoes in somewhere in the
Yes, I mean, there's always, records are made to be broken. We are changing Ryan's venue for Rio, and we probably will not be swimming his gold medal 400 IM, which is really like the decathlon of swimming, you know, 100 meters of each stroke, all out. We're going to be dropping down to shorter events. But yeah, we see a few people out there. Ryan Murphy in the backstroke is coming up. He's a young 18-year-old. We have a gentleman by Isaiah out of North Baltimore, where Michael came out of. There's rumors that Michael will be coming out of retirement, which I know through sources that he's been in the water training, which is a smart move on Michael. We love it. Competition breeds competition. We're not afraid of anyone. Ryan's not afraid of anybody in the world, including Michael. All it does, it raises the level of competition. Competition breeds competition. You know, you look at Home Depot and Lowe's. They're a mile apart. Competition breeds competition. It's healthy. That's what this world's about. That's what we're about, competition. You got to learn to compete. You got to learn to fight. And so, you know, we encourage Michael. I hope Michael comes back. It's only going to make my son faster. There's a couple people out there, Tyler McGill out of Georgia in the butterfly. Nathan Adrian is a big horse, you know, out of California. I'm more concerned about the rest of the world. We're training everybody else. We're training the French. I hate to say it, but I got a guy from France and a guy from Russia training with me now. Last year I had Arcadia. You remember Ryan's 200-meter backstroke race in Beijing? The kid in lane 8? He's about 6'8". He was winning the race for 150 meters. I'm in the stands going, oh my God, Ryan, look, look, look. You couldn't see him. Ryan's in the middle of the pool. Arcadia died on the last 50. Where did Arcadia start training 2 years ago? I finally said, this kid's got talent. I said, you might want to go somewhere else, because I just couldn't do it. Because I could coach him to beat my son. I didn't feel real comfortable with that, so I sent him up to the University of Florida to train with Ryan, figuring, well, competition breeds competition, and it proved right. Ryan beat him. So I'm more concerned about some of these other countries that are taking advantage of good old American soil. I'm kind of an American, and I like to train Americans. Yes, ma'am.
What about
Girls?
girls?
Missy Franklin's right out there. I think you're going to see a girl coming out of Florida, Rebecca Mann out of Clearwater, is going to be one of their top individuals in this world, coming up at World Champs and in Rio. She's a little 15-year-old girl that's just doing very, very well. But Missy's right there. Some of the old timers are going to be around, Jessica Harding and Dana Vollmer and a few others that have been on the team. So, any other questions? All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Another round of applause for Coach Lochte. Competition breeds champions. Plant seeds for life. Let's see. And love what you do. Have fun doing what you do. I love that. That's just, it's a great recipe for success.